welcome to another in our series of QPR Fans, Our Stories. Those of us in the Hoops and Dreams forum wanted to hear from different fans about themselves and their QPR past, their history of why they support the club. And we're hoping that you feel the same. In asking each fan a similar set of questions, we're hoping to get different but interesting responses. It's a chance to ask the fans about themselves, their memories, and the players or managers that mean the most to them. So on to this podcast guest, and it's a very warm welcome to someone I've read about but had never met, well, at least until today, Joe Hylton. Thanks for agreeing to come on the podcast, Joe.
Thanks for having me on, Brian. Privilege. Thank you.
Before we get into the questions, Joe, I think we should mention one of the reasons many will have heard of you already, and if an older fan, perhaps even remember you. About 37 years ago, I think, there was a plan to merge Fulham, then a third division side, and QPR, established in the first division by then. And there's an excellent article from Ian McCulloch that details the whole affair, and I've included some quotes from it when referring to Joe. And so, without further ado, let me bring in the quotes. It was during a journey to Fulham activists that plans were finalised by Kingham for QPR fans to delay the start of the next game and stage a sit-in on the centre circle. There was me, Steve Russell, Vic Stevenson, a bloke called Tim Upton, who was very vocal, Trevor and his brother Peter, and about a dozen others on the back of this lorry, who went on down to Fulham. Fulham weren't getting quite the support they're getting now, and they were only averaging around 3,000 or 4,000 down there. But when we arrived, there were over 500 fans gathered on Stevenage Road, and they greeted us like long-lost brothers, even though the lorry was covered in Rangers scarves, and there were loads of us in Rangers shirts, of course. Trevor had it all worked out. He told us, stay on the pitch for at least 20 minutes, longer if possible. That way we'll get maximum news coverage. He said less than 20 minute stoppage won't be worth it. We have to delay the football pool results at 5 p.m. For me, I really had to think about it because I was working as a bus driver at Fulham Park at the time and had gone on the sick to help with the protest. So the last thing I needed was to be seen on telly or in the newspapers, but it had to be done. Jim Smith came out and said, come on lads, we have got a game to play or we'll get done by the FA. And I remember saying to him, Jim, you look after the team and we'll look after the club. But it was Trevor who did most of the talking to Jim and the police, and it was all very respectful, but they understood where we were coming from. After about 25 minutes, we got up off the pitch, and as the newspaper showed the next day, we achieved what we'd set out to do. So, I mean, that's where you're coming from, Joe. And would it be true to state that without that protest from the fans, this merger would have gone ahead?
Yeah, quite possibly. It was very scary times. We all took it to heart. There wasn't a lot of Rangers supporters that went on the pitch. 200-300, I suppose, went on the pitch. But we first heard about this this merger with Fulham. It would have been around about Christmas because we actually went on the pitch in February '87, so it would have been round about Christmas. And I heard about it, and it's sort of in one ear and out the other. It didn't really think it was going to happen. Of course, when it all actually did happen, it basically all the protests, everyone got to it. It just got us all together. Everyone came to, and we're all young, between the age of about 18 and about 35. And I think I was about 30 at the time when it happened. But it was Trevor Kingham, he really was, the real brains behind it. And out of that came, I mean, everything that you said is exactly what I said to Ian McCulloch. Out of it, the LSA was born, Loyal Supporters Association. That was down to Trevor. He used to run coaches before the LSA came about. And also Dave Thomas with a kick up the arse. Yeah. The longest running football fanzine in this country. So, yes, I do really believe if it wasn't for us 300-400 initially, then we might have become the dreaded Fulham Park Rangers, and it was scary times, but good times as well, and yeah, I did go on the sick from the buses. I had 3 weeks off and we went to various meetings around London, Vauxhall, Wimbledon, Hammersmith Town Hall, big meeting at Hammersmith Town Hall. And yeah, eventually Jim sold it. And fair play to Jim Gregory, he said all those supporters on the pitch, they care about this club. The club actually ridiculed us. We got booed from the Ellerslie Road stand, which is now the Stand Bowls. We got booed. And we didn't know what was going to happen. Could see from over in the school end, the police horses coming out. So we all shouted, sit down in the centre circle and, peaceful protest. And that was the whole idea. It was a peaceful protest, get our point across and prevent the football pools from being read at 5 o'clock. That way we get maximum coverage, and we got it.
Smart move. I mean, did the Fulham fans adopt an equally extreme attitude towards this?
Yeah, they did. When we met them, they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. They dead against the merger as much as we were, and they also had a protest. But their stewards were a lot better than our stewards because they had fences. Loftus Road didn't have fences. We've never, as you know, we've never had fences. But Fulham had fences, and their stewards opened the fences so their supporters could get on the pitch to demonstrate as well. So, and they had high-profile personalities. We didn't have anybody. They had a chap called, I can't remember his name now. He played a part on television with Sharon Juice. And I can't remember what the programme was called now off the top of my head. Yeah. I think his character name was Robbie Box, but I couldn't be sure. But there were others, Fulham personalities that got involved, but we didn't have anybody, not that I can remember offhand. I believe Robert Elms was on the pitch as well, but I didn't know him then. And Robert's, he's about 6 or 7 years younger than me. So, he would have been in his early 20s when I was 30. But I didn't know Robert then, so, I couldn't say. But what it did was it got us all together and we really made the club think about what was going on. Eventually, in the days after, Jim Gregory did sell, as everyone knows, and he sold to a really good man, David Bulstrode, who actually listened to everything that we said. And he went everywhere, all the away games, home games, very approachable man. And unfortunately, he lost his life. And, we had Richard Thompson. Let's not get into that. We had Richard Thompson take over, and that just wasn't good. But yeah, that's the story. That's the story of the so-called merger that didn't happen in February 1987. Yeah, good days, scary days, but I think because of us, we still have Queen's Park Rangers.
Yeah, I guess some cynics today would probably say, well, Fulham Park Rangers, at least we'd be in the Premier League now. But do you feel, Joe, that this commercial act, which is what it was really, never took into account the fans' love for their clubs?
Oh, we didn't. We were second nature to absolutely everything. We didn't count. And again, because of Trevor Kingham and his brother Peter, they gave us a voice. Trevor was a good man. He was very articulate, and he could just talk to the media. He just flowed. He was a good man. I really looked up. He was like an older brother to me. God bless them both. They're gone now. But yeah, they formed the LSA, and the club didn't care about us. That's why the LSA started. And when Trevor got, he had 200 membership cards printed, and we had a queue from the Springbok way past, almost up to the Territorial Army in South Africa Road.
Okay.
We had about 1,500 Rangers fans, and it was more and more, and everyone wanted it.
Good.
And then the club listened.
I know since then that the QPR have kept in touch over the years. I know that, you know. But have they ever recognised you in a positive way, you know, for the efforts you made to prevent Fulham Park Rangers coming into existence?
Myself personally,
Yeah.
no, I didn't want, I didn't want that sort of thing. You know, I'm just a Rangers supporter, same as you, same as all the I go to Rangers with. You know, I never wanted anything like, you know, being put on a pedestal. I'm just a Rangers supporter. I love our football club. I love the people that I've grown up with. I know people longer than I've known my parents are gone. There's people that I've gone to Rangers with that I still know today. And no, I didn't want anything like that.
Well, I hope today that people, of more people than perhaps knew before, now can put you into that frame of people who really did save the club, I think, at that
We
time.
just care, Brian. We just care, you
And
know.
that's a good thing, mate. A really good thing. Okay, let's get on to those questions before we run out of time.
Yeah,
Um, First one, how long have you supported the R's and why?
yeah. Well, 1969, November 69. My uncle Jimmy took me to Rage. Actually, that's not quite true. I went to Fulham before I went to QPR. The day before I went to QPR, and my uncle turned around to me and he said, "There's a game at Fulham. Would you like to go?" And I went, "Oh no, Uncle Jimmy, no, not really." And he said, "Well, it's George Cohen's testimonial." I did not have a clue who George Cohen was. I mean, I was only 10 when we won the World Cup in '66. I didn't really have any interest in football in '66. So I said, yeah, he said, "Look, if you come to Fulham," he said, "QPR are playing tomorrow night." And I went, "Really?" I wasn't allowed to go to Rangers because they were violent times. My parents didn't really like football. Well, my dad didn't like football. He was a boxing. Boxing was his thing, and horse racing and dogs. And so I wasn't. So my uncle said, you know, go to Rangers. I said, all right, we'll go to Fulham. It was a lovely night at Fulham. It was brilliant. There was two games played: England past, England present, Fulham past, Fulham present, and it was a host of goals. There was about gate was about 35,000 at Craven Cottage. Everywhere, football supporters from everywhere went to play tribute to George Cohen. I didn't have a clue who he was. And the following night, I went to Loftus Road, and that was it for me. Under the floodlights.
So that first match, do you remember who they were playing and the result by any chance?
Yeah, we played Watford, but it all went over my head because I was just starstruck. We sat in the South Africa road stand up near the loft, the Loftus Road end. I don't think the terracing underneath was quite finished. And I was gobsmacked listening to all these Rangers supporters singing songs, and I'm trying to learn the songs and everything. I've never been in, although I was born in Shepherd's Bush. I'm a Shepherd's Bush boy, and I was born in Hammersmith Hospital. Mum and Dad's first house was in Abdale Road, which is just behind Shepherd's Bush Police Station, and which virtually backs on to Loftus Road. I went to Wellesley Road School, infant school. Don't really remember much about it. And but that first match, yeah, we won 2-1. I can't remember any of the goals, who scored or anything. It just, my heart was just, and it was the love affair started.
That's interesting because you'd gone the previous day to Craven Cottage
Yes.
and you didn't fall in love with that. You then go to
Oh,
the
I
second
was
football match.
no,
At a
no, no,
different-
no. I as I didn't know we won the League Cup in '67, and I just started senior school. And what happened was when I started senior school, the headmaster came round. I was about 12, I think. I was in the class, 30 in the class. Headmaster came round and he said, "Boys, your attention, please." And we all sort of looked up, and he said, "Got a new member of staff that's starting with us next season, next term. His name is Mr. Marsh." And I looked,
No.
Rodney, and I couldn't believe it. And I'd never seen him play, but I had pictures of him on my wall, along with Jimmy Greaves and Bobby Moore and players like that. and I couldn't believe it was Rodney. And again, and so the season that, or the term, I should say, that he started with us, that was leading up to me going to Loftus Road. So yeah, have I answered the question, Brian? I can't quite.
No, you've actually answered about 3 different questions, so it was great.
Why didn't I love with Fulham? No, it was never Fulham, because I was born in the bush, and that's it. Although I've got no siblings or anything, it's Rangers and England, full stop. That's it.
Good. Listen, that's enough. Certainly with England at the moment. Do you have a favourite QPR strip that you can sort of say that's the one that I love the most?
Can I have 2?
Yeah, because you can.
You see, everyone loves the Dennis the Menace, but there was one that we had. It was about, I would say, it was about 1977.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a player called Dave Needham, who I absolutely adored. He didn't play many games for us. We got him from Notts County. And Rangers had obviously blue and white hoops at home, but the collar was quite a high collar, and half was blue and half was white.
Oh,
and it was a skin tight shirt, because the baggy shirts came in sort of a little bit
80s.
later.
Yeah.
About 10 years later-ish. But it was skin tight, and I don't think it had a Rangers badge on it. I can't be sure. But that shirt, and I've spoke to Francis in the club shop about it, said, I love that shirt. He knows exactly what it is. So, but the other one, obviously, the Guinness shirt, the Guinness home shirt, that's a special shirt.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that, and it's not surprising. It's a great, iconic design and everything. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I already know the answer to this, and you've sort of intimated towards it. When you manage to travel to Loftus Road, where do you normally sit for matches?
Yeah, about well, when I first started going, it was the Loft, and I'd get down there for 1:30. As soon as the gates open, race up the Loft, down the scene, over the wall at the front, into the kids' pen, right behind the goal. That was it. But then, as the years went past, by up the back of the Loft, loved to sing, like the boys and girls do over in the Q block and the R block. Yeah. That was my thing, up the back of the Loft terracing. But now, I'd say for the past about 28 years now, we've had my wife Kathy and myself, we've had the same seats for about 28 years. Before that, we had seats over by in the P block, but then we moved to the back of the L block, at the very back in the upper Loft. So yeah, about 28 years there, and about 3 years season ticket in the P block before that.
Yeah, see, you've got up there, you've got a good view, and at the same time, you're right by the singing. Can't go wrong, I think.
Well, singing's way over to the left. I'm not much of a. I sort of jump in on excuse me. I sort of jump in on the second verse of the finest football team the world has ever seen. I'm not much of a singer now. I still get behind the boys, obviously, but singing, I leave that to the youngsters over there in the Q and the R block.
Yeah, they do pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay, so do you have any favourite QPR players? I bet you do, over the time, and can you sort of mention them and why?
Yeah, off the top of my head, Macca, Alan McDonald, fantastic player, wonderful servant for QPR. I did like Benoit Asuikotu. I thought he was a fantastic player. Obviously, Les Ferdinand, Paul Parker was phenomenal. I like John Spencer as well. He was lethal.
Yeah.
Adele, great magician. Obviously, Jerry and Stan, Rodney, Heider Helgeson, Charlie Austin, the list goes, the Furs, Gino Padula, the list goes on, Kevin Gallen, Danny Maddox. I believe Danny's a cab driver, and I was a cab driver for 31 years, but I haven't seen him out. I didn't see him out there. I don't know how long he's been a cab driver. Phil Parks is another one.
Yeah.
And the great Ray Wilkins, an absolute gentleman and a brilliant footballer.
When you started out with all the attackers, and I thought, okay, that's fair enough. Then you went back right the way through the defence, goalie, then back to midfield with Ray Wilkins. So, I mean, you've got a fairly broad spread there of characters, who are well known,
I mean,
well loved.
Lee Harper as well. I really like Lee
Yes.
Harper.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
And Dave Seaman, Jan Stay School. You know, Ludo McCloskey. He wasn't there long, but you know, he was decent. And Paddy Kenny. What did he keep? About 26 clean sheets, something like that. When we won the league, wonderful keep, great character.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Who do you regard as the worst QPR manager that you saw, and why?
Oh dear me, I really don't like to point fingers at people that have represented the Hoops, but Houston and Rioch weren't clever. I mean, I think when they left us, they got a couple of walk-in parts on Coronation Street. Frank, I wasn't happy with Frank Sibley because it's a question that you're going to come to, and I'll explain that.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, Mick Beale was he was a good manager, but I mean we all know it's well documented what he did, like you know. But I think he's recharging the batteries in Transylvania. That's the best thing I can say about him. You know.
Yeah. No, you've got to have integrity. You know, you have to. Anyway.
Yeah. But I think the top of the pile would be Alan Mullery.
Oh, okay.
He followed Terry Venables. He had a hard job, and
yeah.
But there was a rumour that he had a bit of a punch up with Simon Stainrod on the plane coming back from one of the European games. So, but he didn't last long, and you know, the real hardcore at Rangers just didn't take to him. And Venables is a hard act for anyone to follow.
A very difficult act, I think. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, excluding the playoff final, what is the best game that you can remember?
Again, it's a difficult question to answer.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, 55 years I've been supporting Rangers, and we got relegated, and we played Ipswich at Loftus Road, and they beat us 4-0. Believe it or not, Rangers played really well. I think we were relegated already, but the atmosphere was amazing. The loft was bouncing every time Ipswich scored. It was like Rangers scored. It was unreal. What a send-off we gave the boys that night. I think as well, another game that sticks in my mind was quarter-final of the Milk Cup at the Dog Track when Mickey Robinson scored virtually from the halfway line. That was a superb night. I absolutely loved that. And then the semi-final at Anfield, we drew 2-2, and we beat them 1-0 down the bush, and we drew 2-2 at Anfield. That was a great one. Obviously, the semi-final at Highbury, FA Cup semi-final, Clive Allen's goal. Yes. That was wow. I didn't recover for about 4 days. That was special. But I'm going to go. If you put me on the spot, I'm going to go for a QPR Cup final, 2005, in Ibiza, and we beat Coventry City 3-2. We were losing 2-0 at half time, and we scored 3 in the second half. I think it was Dean Sturridge got 2, and definitely the Magic Hat. I think he got the winning goal. I can't, because there was a lot of San Miguel consumed that week, and it was brilliant.
It wasn't just by the spectators either. From what I hear, the team were on a bender as well.
It was a magical week, and brilliant.
Okay, let's switch again back to managers. Who's your favourite manager and why?
Oh, again, oh, it's another hard one. I got there's Ollie, Jerry, Sir Neil Warnock. I think the first manager that I that I that I can remember myself, because when I was really young, it was just Rodney. Everything was Rodney, 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 nothing else. Um, First manager that I really remember and I really had a lot of time for was Gordon Jago with his sidekick Bobby Campbell. Um, and I actually wrote to Rangers when he got. I'm not sure if he left or he got sacked, and I think he went to Millwall.
Mhm.
And I got a really nice reply from Ron Phillips, but he said as I'd written the letter to Gordon Jago asking him why, he said he couldn't reply. He said, but I'm sure we'll find. I remember the letter said, I'm sure we'll find a suitable replacement, and that suitable replacement was Dave Sexton.
Yes.
And
Okay. Right.
yeah, so and of course Terry Venables,
Yeah.
um,
He'd be my
fantastic,
choice. Yeah.
and not just a great manager, but what a player. I mean, some of the free kicks that he invented, he was just
He was ahead of his time, I think.
oh, definitely, definitely, which is why he went to Barcelona, right? Obviously, so yeah, hard to pinpoint a favourite manager, but definitely Neil Warnock is right up there for what he did in the short space of time, winning the league. It was
Yeah.
just
I understand that. Mm.
absolutely magical. Like, but take nothing away from the others that I've mentioned. Jerry Francis, quality. How many how many footballers captain England as a QPR captain? I think Jerry's the only one.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. Can you remember where you were on 24th of May 2014, which just happened to be when Bobby Zamora scored the winning goal at the Wembley playoff final? Were you
Yeah,
there?
I was there. I think we were in the middle tier. Sorry, that's my phone going off. I think
Uh,
we were in the middle tier, just to the left of the goal. And when he scored, I normally run my watch in the second half, do all the stops, do all the substitutions coming on. Completely forgot it. I was just so carried away. And when he scored, I was convinced once I got up off the floor after being strangled, and I was convinced there was about 20 minutes to go. I had no idea what the score was. Absolutely no idea. It was, stuff left my body when he scored. Oh dear, what a day! What a day! And we did the walk to Wembley as well. We
you
met.
did that as well. Good. Good,
Yeah,
good.
we met at South Africa Road. Absolutely chucking it down. It was. Uh, we met at South Africa Road, outside the ground. I think there was meant to be about 5,000, but I think it was about 1,800 actually went because the weather was so bad. But 45,000 Rangers fans at Wembley. Wow, blew my head away.
It was something else. Definitely a day to remember.
Yeah,
Okay,
another thing
go
to
on.
recover. Well,
Yeah, true. Um, last season we beat Leeds 4-0, and by doing that, we staved off relegation.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you see us in another relegation battle come April this season?
No, no, I can't see that happening. It's not going well at the moment. I mean, it was a derby last week, and that was the collapse in the second half hurt. If they, I know the boys are trying, but it just it. We come home, me and the missus come home. We didn't even talk, in the car on the way home. Not because we'd had an argument. We just didn't talk. But I can't see us. No, I can't see us being in a relegation battle.
No,
Things
that's
will.
good.
Yeah,
I'm glad that you're being positive. That's good. Over the years of watching the R's, can you name a player who's really disappointed you in terms of perhaps their performance versus the hype of them coming in or their inability to stay fit?
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean,
I'm
a lot,
sure.
lot of the younger Rangers players. I don't think there was a lot of hype with this fellow. It was Gus Caesar. We got him from Arsenal.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it, yeah, he was pretty dire. We had a goalkeeper called Ademola Bankole. I don't know if you remember him.
I
Um,
do. Yeah.
I thought he was dreadful. I'm sure the lad was okay. Can't remember if he played first team games or not. Um, uh, but the player that really, I think the player that really, with the hype that came to Loftus Road, massive hype. Harry Redknapp got him in Rio Ferdinand. Um,
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, he
Because of all the injuries and whatever.
no he. I don't know how many games he played for Rangers. I don't think he played more than a dozen,
Mm.
15 games. QPR. I never saw him have a good game. But what did it for me was, and I supported him. Anyone who wears the hoops, they get my support. Excuse me. I heard a podcast that we was on, and the things that he said about our club, uh, he was he was so uncaring and laughing as he was saying it as well.
Mm.
So I'll leave it at that, Brian. But Rio,
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. You already mentioned your uncle who introduced you to QPR. Are there any siblings or children who are following the R's because of you?
uh, we haven't been lucky in the children department, me and Kath, but we've got a nephew in Tewkesbury, Gloucestershire, Graham Croucher. He's on Kath's side of the family, and his daughter, Melissa Croucher, they're diehard Rangers. Yeah, so that's about it. Unfortunately for myself, I'm an only child, and I'm very close to my cousins, but I won't say it too loud, they're Millwall supporters.
Oh my God, that's
They're in.
worrying. Okay.
We'll leave it.
Finally, last question. Finally, thinking of the present and the future. What do you think of Marty Cifuentes? Get it right. And where do you expect the R's to finish next season?
Yeah. Marty, I've got a lot of time for Marty. I really like him. He's very astute. Um, he'll sort us out. He does it all up here. Down there's for dancing. Marty does it all up here. Um, all the other championship managers, um, you'll see them walking down the middle of the road. To them, that is life's highway. They don't stray to the left. They don't stray to the right. But I think with Marty Cifuentes, the edge of the cliff is where you'll find him. Not dreaming of dreams, but taking all the risks.
Yeah.
Marty will sort us out.
Okay, so come on then, make a prediction for where you think we'll finish this season.
Uh, Mid-table-ish,
Yes.
16,
I think that's
15.
probably a sensible one, given how we've started out. But yeah, I think you're probably about right. Okay. Thanks, Joe. I mean, that's all the questions I've got for now. So I just really would like to thank you for this episode and your memories. For those of you who haven't read about Fulham Park Rangers, look up the name Joe Hylton, Hylton. I would add that I intend to have Joe back at some point to discuss another historical event involving him. That will probably be next season. Joe was really worried about using Zoom or any technology for that matter, but it all went okay in the end, didn't it, Joe?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I surprised myself. I've got
Many,
things on my car that I've had since 2020, and there's things that I don't know how to operate. So this is a miracle, really.
many thanks for coming on anyway. I really appreciate it.
Brian,
And for all of you, I hope you enjoyed this episode and the overall concept. Get in touch with Hoops and Dreams if you feel your memories need to be shared too. That especially applies to female fans because, as you probably noticed up to now, we haven't had any female fans. I don't know why, despite our efforts. For now, though, this is Brian Fisher wishing you all a move to a winning ways this season. Higher and higher up the table. Come on, you R's.
yours.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.